What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the Penrose putter from EV-7. New putter, new company. We're going to be putting with it. We're going to be throwing it. I'm going to show you the design. We're going to talk about the plastic. We're going to compare it to other discs. All that and more, so stay tuned and let's get into it. So, first of all, big thank you to EV-7 for sending me these to test and review. I appreciate it. They got right back to me, hooked me up with 2 pairs of these, which made a huge difference in our ability to test them and get the footage that we needed and stuff. To have 4 of them was just really a treat for us to be able to just throw them and really get a feel for the disc. So OG base plastic for this pair, and then we have the OG soft for this pair as well. So that's awesome. If you're interested in checking out these discs, you can actually check them out on my retail sponsor, Infinite Discs, and if you use our code DGNerd, you'll get a discount and you'll also help support the channel. So you can look for the links to all that stuff in the description below. Soft plastic, let's look at the soft ones first. They're basically identical, both pairs, which is great, and I really didn't see any real difference in any of the flights between any of the 4. Honestly, they all seem to be right around exactly the same in terms of the way they performed out there. But the soft plastic is a little more rubbery and has a little bit more flex to it, as you can see, but it's not like overly floppy. It's nowhere near, probably not even quite as soft as like a Latitude soft. Let's see if I have one of those handy. This is a Latitude Soft Justice. You'll see that flexes a little bit more, pretty easy. And then compared to the base plastic, it's just a little bit more firm. It's really not like a huge difference, but this one definitely has more give and press under the thumb, a little bit more grip and a rubbery feel. But I'm really impressed with this base plastic feel as well. Still has a tremendous grip, and it has a little bit of flexibility, and it doesn't feel super firm in the hand, but it does have a little bit more of a rigid feel to it, and still tremendously grippy. Like, really impressed with the grip in terms of the feel of these discs, and the plastic types. Really nice. I don't really have a preference between the two. They both feel really great. I would say if you want something that's just a little bit softer, a little more give, maybe you want it for like colder climates where it's going to firm up a little bit in the fall and the winter and stuff, this might be what you want to check out. They also have a much firmer version of the plastic that you can look into all that on their website, but we just have these 2 options to check out because these are the ones I was most interested in. But they do have like a really firm plastic if that's what you're looking for. So they are very flat across the top, almost like indented puddle top, which I always like, and that's definitely a nice thing for a putter for me. I like the way that feels in my hand. Let's just put this other couple aside here and get them out of the way. We'll focus on these 2. Real quick, flight numbers. Tough to see on that one with the foil. 2, 4, 0, and 2 are the flight numbers. I would say we pretty much agree with those. If it was a 3 for glide, I wouldn't argue, nor would I argue with a 1 for the fade, just because thrown flat and level, they don't come out and hook up too much, but you do see that fade number more with hyzer releases, and they do kind of want to come out at least to some degree. Like, they won't just completely hold over unless you really pull them strong. Like, if you put them on slight ante and stuff, they'll kind of softly pull out of that and fade and stuff. So I think the flight numbers are pretty much spot on, and I have no real arguments with them, but there's always some flexibility in there based on your perspective and all those different factors that go into it, your speed that you throw at and all that stuff. Alright, taking a look at the main part of the design of this disc. Try to move it over a little bit so you can see them around the same size. But it's a beaded putter, but the bead's not very big, so it's more of a, not quite a micro bead, but it's a little bit more kind of pointed than I might particularly like, and I feel like these would actually feel better more and more as they break in. Like, I feel like this bead maybe has like it's not really flashing, but it does kind of feel like it comes to a little bit of a point where the mold ends there on that bead, and I think as you wear these in a little bit, they're going to start to feel even better in the hand, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. I'm not typically a huge beaded putter fan personally, but that's just a preferential thing and really not much to do with the actual design of the disc. But you'll also see it's got pretty squared off just lead edge there, but it's all pretty comfortable, and I'm quite impressed with the consistency between the four of them in terms of the feel and the flight and all that stuff. Like, they all are really clean, good grip to them, no kind of crazy flashing going on or anything like that you might expect from a brand new company. But this is these are being made, from what I understand, by Phil Arthur, who is involved in creating Prodigy discs, so he has a ton of experience with this stuff, and straight away these are definitely every bit as high quality as any other golf disc that I've tested. And you guys know I would be honest about that. That wasn't the case. 174 grams for all four of these. So yeah, between the two, I probably almost like the base one a little bit better because the grip's not much different. It's just a touch firmer in the hand, which I think is a little bit better for throwing, but they're both great, and it's really a personal preference thing in terms of what you want there. Let's put it up next to some other options. That took a little longer than usual, but with a brand new company, brand new mold, and brand new plastic types, I figured it was only fair to talk a little bit more about that than I may typically do with just another Lucid disc or another Champion disc or whatever the case might be. Moving on, this is a chainsaw by Black Zombie, who is molded by Gateway, and this is another beaded putter. Bear in mind, from this perspective here, that's kind of tough. Sometimes the disc on one side or the other will look a different size based on the perspective of the camera, so don't get tricked by that. This is more just to show you the difference in the shapes and the size of the bead. So you can see the bead on the chainsaw is much like fatter and wider than the Penrose, which is kind of a slim, a little bit more of a pointed bead, especially as fresh, like we talked about. As it breaks in, it'll probably smooth down really nice, and I think that might even be part of the thought process. You know, with a beaded putter, that was kind of the thinking behind using a bead on a disc in the old days, was that this part of the disc will take wear and it will maintain durability, where if that edge is raw there without the bead, that part will get damaged and it will change the flight more quickly. That's the thought process from what I understand. This is a Sakibom JK AVR, so let's put it up next to that as well. And once again, you can see the AVR has a much fatter bead on there, wider and kind of softer in feel. The bead itself doesn't protrude quite as much. So that should just about cover all the design aspects of these. I definitely like the feel. It's all good there. I love the plastics. I'm really impressed with the grip and the feel of these plastics and the consistency between the four. We really saw no difference throwing these backhand and forehand in terms of stability between the two plastic types, and they're not all that different in terms of feel either, so I didn't really expect much either. In putting, basically the same story. So let's talk about the flight of these in general. For putting, I found them to be pretty stable, and I could put them out there with quite a bit of pop to get them to hold straight. A little bit more than I typically like for my own putting style. I like a little bit more of a neutral putter, but these are definitely really solid and really consistent. And if you're somebody who putts more forcefully with more of a spin putt, or just more power and weight transfer behind your putt, this could definitely be a great putter for you to check out. And I really do think, all in all, these are a really well-designed disc for more experienced players and professional players. I think this is a great disc for players that have been playing a long time. Not that you couldn't be a beginner and get great use out of this as a really nice, slightly overstable approach disc. Probably be somewhat overstable for a brand new player. For me, for putting, I have to put a little bit more pop on them and put them out there a little flatter and a little bit more spin than I typically like to for my own putting preferences, but you'll see that I was still able to connect with them quite well after kind of adjusting a little bit and getting a feel for them early on. So in throwing, they're very neutral, stable enough to handle power and fly on release angles, but they do have that little bit of fade, again, especially if released on hyzer. Anytime you start them on any type of a hyzer, they want to finish back on that angle. I like them for like slight anhyzer, kind of slow flexes, really nice hyzer approach disc, and something you can throw flat without worrying about it too much. And you're going to see the other guys, besides me throwing it, who have a little bit more power than I do, different release angles and stuff, and it still handled everybody's form and performed quite well. So a really solid disc that I'm impressed with overall. I think mostly they are best used as a putter and approach disc for more experienced players that want something they can throw and putt with nice and firm with a lot of spin and speed behind them, and allow them to hold straight up to speed. And we're seeing People like Drew Gibson is probably the most notable player who's using these right now. Out on tour, he seems to be doing super well with them and connecting on a lot of putts. And I can see why. They're very, very consistent. I mean, between all four of them, they all fly exactly the same. And just shot to shot, they seem to do the same thing over and over again. Once you get them dialed in, they're definitely really solid. And yeah, quite impressed with them overall. So thanks very much once again to EV-7 for sending me these to test and review. Always awesome to connect with a new manufacturer and be able to show off some new plastic here on the channel. Thanks to all of you guys for watching, and a big shout out to the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team. One of the absolute best ways you can help support me and the channel is to check me out on Patreon. For as little as $2 a month, you'll have your name listed right here in all the videos, and I will eternally appreciate your support as I intend to continue to make these videos going forward. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you all very soon. Cheers.